Howdy, y'all. It's Curious Raven. It is Tuesday. Today is kind of a mix of some paranormal spookies, and I hope y'all enjoy them. Number 1. Hey, so I've always had sleep paralysis. Sometimes it's terrifying, but sometimes it's transcendental in the most beautiful way. I want to just explain 3 experiences that I have stuck with me and will forever be in my psyche. This one was the scariest one. I woke up from my sleep and I was completely paralyzed. I could only look at what was above me as I was laying in bed, unable to move or breathe. What I saw was to this day the most horrifying graphic image that nothing in life could top. It was a hairless, naked man covered in blood from head to toe, and he was shaking violently as if he was convulsing, with white foam coming out of his mouth. He had completely black eyes and looking right into my soul. I felt my body starting to levitate out of my bed towards him. He was pulling me towards him so he could devour me, and I was absolutely helpless. As I kept levitating closer to him, I myself started shaking, and I felt as if I was being possessed by a demon. With the little strength that I had, I looked over to the side of the bed and saw a very clean man dressed in a white robe, and he just said, "Remember, you are love." As soon as he said those words, I looked back up at this demon, and I started reciting those words. "I am love. I am love." And slowly this demonic entity started to decompose and disappear right in front of me. As soon as he was gone, I could start moving my body again, and holy shit, I've never been so scared in my life. This one was such a beautiful experience. So I remember that I was in a state where I knew I was awake, but my eyes were shut, and I couldn't move my body. My body was asleep, but I was very much aware, and my visuals were going wild. I was in some kind of space shuttle made of glass, and I could see Earth below me. I remember looking to my left and right, and I could see so many people in this space shuttle also looking down at Earth. I recognized some of the people. Some were family, other friends, other were strangers. Anyways, there was a red light that was turned on, and we were waiting for the light to turn green so we could jump out of this space shuttle down to Earth. I remember when it turned green, my sister turns to me and says, "Are you ready? It's going to be a good life." And we jumped down to Earth to live our lives. This was a wild experience to me because it was so vivid and it felt so profound as if it really did happen. I always think about that and how we could be souls that just jump into Earth to experience life. Now, this last one was interesting because I felt that I had been visited by an ancestor. This time I was asleep, but I was aware in my dream. And I know when I get sleep paralysis, I get goosebumps and I have that feeling of dying almost. It's creepy, but you get used to it. Anyways, I'm looking at myself in the mirror, and I'm in my 50s to 60s. I'm currently in my late 20s, and it's the first time I have vividly seen myself at a much older age. I had lots of gray hair, but I looked damn good, not gonna lie. And behind me, I see old family members, all whom have passed, and they're just looking at me and smiling and making me feel very comforted. And one of them, who I believe was an ancestor from the 17th century, by what he was wearing tells me, "We get to live through you. You are us and we are you." And as soon as he said that, my eyes opened and I literally sat up on my bed and was freaked out. But also it felt so familiar. One thing I love about sleep paralysis is that when it's a good experience, there's a sense of being home. It's hard to explain. In life, I never quite have that exact feeling. The sigh of relief and feeling, yeah, I'm home now and it's forever. Would love to hear some of your experiences and what you guys have learned from them. Number 2. So, I'm not sure if this is really qualifies as paranormal, but I guess we will see what everyone thinks if anyone reads it. So, I, 31 female, I've always had weird experiences with ESP, a lot of times in the form of dreams, either about past or future, turn out to come true. They're not usually happy things, so when I had this one, I kind of wondered, since it was happy-ish for me, and since that never happens, I didn't think it was one of the usual dreams. I had a sudden windfall in the dream, and due to someone finding out and telling everyone my entire small town knew and I was being harassed, as well as stalked by one person in particular. At some point in the dream, after he's followed me to a new city, I discover that my stalker is in fact a man I once had a bizarre toxic friendship/relationship with about 8 or so years ago. The reason came out that he had a mental health crisis a few years after his girlfriend died in a car crash. Well, it took a lot of Googling. I discovered while awake that his girlfriend had in fact died several years earlier. We have been an NC for many years. Don't have friends in common, not on each other's social media accounts, etc. So there was no way I could have found out and forgotten his girlfriend died. I didn't know her last name and I couldn't confirm the cause. Despite the way we ended things, I was heartbroken from him. I forgot about it for about a year until last night. I had the dream once again, and on a whim Googled my ex's name, and amongst the random, I found her name. Then with quite a bit of more fingling, I found out that she did die in a car crash. It was in another state from me, not close at all, and I don't watch the news regularly. So again, I don't believe I heard about it and forgot and internalized it. Officially weirded out by that, hoping the setting windfall turns out to be true. I would have much rather it only be that part and not someone being dead. I didn't predict it or anything, like where I could have tried to stop it. I first had the dream in summer of 2022, and she died 2 years before that. I have never met her, but sounds like she was an amazing person, so I wish I had. Anyways, just needed someone to tell this to. My friends all think that I'm nuts, so better to be anonymous. Anyone else out here had experiences like this? Number 3. Hi everyone. I don't know if this is the right subreddit. Sorry if it's not. I, female 30, start by saying that I always had lucid dreams and nightmares since when I was a little kid. Same with sleep paralysis. Pretty scary if you're a little kid. In the last year, I have had weird reoccurring dreams that end up in the same way. In this dream, I'm just the audience. There is always this evil presence in the form of a person or something else. I follow them around. They are repeating a chanting in a language that I have never heard of. And I feel their evil intentions until at some point they turn to me screaming, "What are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here." And they come to attack me. I instantly wake up. And I always wake up at 3 a.m. After these dreams, I always feel extremely sick and ill. Today, I've had to call in sick for work because I was a literal wreck. I know dreams come from our subconscious, but these ones in particular are making me feel very uneasy. Anyone had a similar experience? Am I damned or something? Number 4. Hey y'all, this is a true story, and something my family is going through right now, and I'm not sure what to do about it. Please give me some suggestions. A few months ago, one of my mom's neighbor's chickens started coming into her yard to hang out. At first, they liked the chicken because why not? every chicken. Duh. But anyways, there was an instance when a chicken had become aggressive towards my mom's boyfriend and tried to peck him, so he threw it over the fence back into the neighbor's yard, but it came back the next day. The trouble began very recently. My mother's dog attacked and severely wounded the chickens. My mom panicked and called a friend who then mercy killed the chickens in their bathroom. Since that happened, strange things have been happening, and I could tell you their mood had been not the best, and they have told me that their animals started acting different. I went to the house and prayed to God to have any negative energy removed from the house. When I got home, I had a fresh cut on my index finger. Oddly enough, it looked like a chicken pecked my finger. Later, after noticing that my brother called me, he and his girlfriend had been taking care of the animals while my mom and her boyfriend were out of town. He explained to me that he was putting his kid's car seat in, and while he was gone, his girlfriend heard him talking to the dog that attacked the chicken. I think something very bad is in that house. How should I get rid of it? Number 5. So, I'm not sure if this is the right place to ask this, but I've been looking into all sorts of things like experiences with mimics, doppelgangers, spirits, malevolent or not, and not sure where to look for answers. I have the mindset that you are respectful and don't have any fear of negative energy. Can you befriend them in any way? For example, I saw a video with a large shadow figure peeking from the end of the hallway before returning after being startled. And I understand people's natural reaction is to cleanse, expel, whatever it may be from the house. Make sure it isn't welcome. But I'd rather be kind than get rid of it. Treat them like a roommates or pets. I'd appreciate any answers, opinions, or experiences. I apologize if this is difficult to understand. Number 6. I have a lot of ghost stories to tell about my childhood home, but I'm going to dive into one. Just a little background. My house was built in 1880 and has lots of history around it. In every room, there's a doorbell right near the entryway. It's all connected to the device in the kitchen that would buzz and say which room it was coming from. When I was a kid, the doorbell still worked in every room, and you could hear it around the house. We knew it was for the servants that used to work in the house over 100 years ago. My house also had 2 staircases, one main staircase and one that connected right to the kitchen, which is off of my room. I often hear people going up and down the staircase with no one when no one is there, and voices. We have a big family, and my sister and I used to share a room at night on the 2nd floor. We had twin beds that were parallel to each other. In this story, I was probably around 8 and my sister was 7. One night, I woke up and I was thirsty. I could feel how dry my throat was. All I wanted was my mom to come in and give me a glass of water. All of a sudden, I see my door lightly opened and a woman dressed in traditional servant's clothing, the black dress, white apron, and hat, with a blue hood, glides over to my bed and is holding a silver platter with a silver teacup and kettle on it. I remember trying to grab it and then lightly falling back to sleep. I wasn't scared or nervous. I was very calm. The next day, I wake up thinking it was some crazy dream. So naturally, I wanted to tell my sister, who I thought was sleeping right next to me at that time. Before I even begin telling my story, she tells me that she saw a blue woman next to her bed, handing me a silver platter. I couldn't even speak, I was so shocked. Our stories lined up almost exactly. To this day, we both remember what we saw and can tell almost the exact same story. Number 7. The experience I'm about to tell all of you may be reading is completely true. Believe that if you will. About 3 years ago, I went for a drive around the area I'd recently moved to, Winchester in the UK. And I was bored, and I just purchased a nice Alfa Romeo Hatch 147 Lusso edition, so I suppose I wanted an excuse to go for a drive and push the engine a bit. Plus, I wanted to explore the local area a little bit. Anyway, I ended up outside the city in the middle of nowhere. Country roads that are kind of like one-way roads in size, with high edges on the sides or tree-lined with a very, very occasional country cottage. So I'm driving. Not too fast. Alphas have good engines, and it's easy to go fast. But also I'm aware that I don't know where I am and therefore the turns and lay of the roads. So I had my high beams on to ensure I could see as well as possible. Anyways, as I'm pressing on, I noticed I was approaching a cottage coming up on my left when out of nowhere a very tall, I'd say 6.5, maybe taller male. It was definitely a male, ran out in front of my car near the house across the road and then disappeared into a tree line, and I assumed some fields on my right. In my head, and also my instincts told me that this wasn't human. It was humanoid in shape, but it didn't have any hair on its body or head, which, fair enough, he might have just been bald, etc. But it was the speed it moved and also the fact that it was a bloke totally naked in the middle of nowhere, run from near home in front of an oncoming car with brights on. So if it was a bloke, up to no good, let's just say, he would wait till I passed and then continued on his way. Anyways, these thoughts passed through my head, and in a second, and before I knew it, my heart was pounding. And I just put my foot down, shifted a gear, and got out of the area as fast as I could. Although I did look out of my right window to see if I could see him. I couldn't, and before that briefly at the house, like I said, I got out of there rapid and didn't stop until I found an area I could pull over and gather my thoughts. I couldn't believe what I just seen. I knew in my heart of hearts and logically that it wasn't a man or a mad one or up to no good nor or whatever. Not only did it not make sense, it just wasn't. Its movements and speed, and again, why would a man do that? So my heart's going, I'm trying to make sense of it, and boom on my window. And it's a local Karen asking me to move on. What are you doing? We don't like all this around here, she said. Any other day or night, whatever, I would have asked what I'd done wrong. After all, I was only parked up gathering my thoughts, no music, pumping loudly, etc. Looking back, this just added to the strangeness of this previous event, as I was only about 5-minute drive away from that house I'd seen and the man appear from. Not from the actual house, I don't think, but near it. On that side of the road, plus, she said, round here. It was only a few cottages and a building that looked like a barn. So I moved on. When home, I pondered it till the early hours of the morning. Honestly, it was the strangest thing I've ever seen. I've told the odd person and they would laugh. Trust me, if you was there, you'd understand what I'm trying to tell you. Was it a cryptid? An alien? A demon? Or a naked man running around in front of cars from hedgerow to tree line and disappearing as fast as a click of your fingers? Anyway, that's me. That last story was really cool. I like that. And I think you saw something that was not human, by the way. I hope everyone is having a great week so far. I love y'all so much. I will see y'all Thursday. But until then, remember it's scary out there. Please like and subscribe.
Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross